$300,000 sitting inside your walls earns you roughly 1.2% a year after inflation. That same $300,000 in a diversified portfolio has historically earned 7. The gap over 30 years is $1.9 million. And most buyers never run that number before they sign. Today, we are going to run it. Every assumption disclosed, every tax drag applied, no shortcuts. There are two families. Priya and James put $200,000 down. Kevin and Claire put $500,000 down. Same house, same neighborhood, same $1 million purchase price, same closing date, May 2026. The only difference is what each family did with the remaining $300,000. This is where 30 years of compounding either starts or stops. Now let's look at the mortgage first, because the monthly numbers matter before anything else. Freddie Mac's primary mortgage market survey for the week ending April 30th, 2026 shows the 30-year fixed rate at 6.3%. Both families lock in at that rate. Priya and James borrow $800,000. Their principal and interest payment is $4,976 a month. Because their loan-to-value sits above 80%, they owe PMI. At 0.8% of the loan balance annually, PMI adds $533 a month in year one. Total housing costs in year one, $5,489 a month, before property tax, insurance, and maintenance that both families share equally. Kevin and Claire borrow $500,000. Principal and interest, $3,099 a month. No PMI. No threshold to chase. Year one housing costs $3,099 plus those shared costs. The monthly gap between the two families is $2,390 in year one. Kevin and Claire look at that number and feel it immediately. Lower payment, no PMI. More breathing room. This is the feeling that drives most Henry buyers toward Path B. But here's what happened to the $300,000 that Kevin and Claire poured into the down payment. It stopped moving. That money now sits in the equity of their home, earning real home appreciation. Nationally, real home price growth after inflation runs about 1 to 1.5% per year over the long run per NAR data. On $300,000 of extra equity, that is $3,000 to $4,500 a year in real gain, not compounding. Accumulating. Slowly. This is what I call the liquidity wedge. The $300,000 is not gone, but it is frozen. It cannot be redeployed without selling the house or taking on new debt. It earns modest returns while the market outside the house compounds at a multiple. Now let's look at what Priya and James did with that same $300,000. They invested it. The entire amount went into a 60-40 diversified portfolio on closing day. At 7% real annualized return, which is the S&P 500's long-run average adjusted for inflation in today's dollars, that lump sum starts compounding immediately. Picture a single bar on a graph. It starts at $300,000 on day one. Year one, it grows to $321,000. The bar climbs. Year 5, $421,000. The bar climbs further. Year 10, $590,000. Year 15, $827,000. Year 20, $1,160,000. The bar is now almost 4 times where it started. Year 25, $1,620,000. Year 30, $2,280,000. This is the opportunity stack, the compounding engine that only activates if the capital never goes into the wall. This is Sarah's money map. If you want the math your realtor will never run for you, subscribe. 1 click, no hype. Now here's where I have to give Kevin and Claire's strategy full credit, because the strongest version of Path B is genuinely competitive. Kevin and Claire's lower monthly payment creates $2,390 of breathing room every single month. If they invest that full difference every month in a low-cost index fund at 7% real return over 30 years, they accumulate approximately $2,870,000 before tax. That is more than Priya and James's $2,280,000 lump sum. That is the real bull case for 50% down, and it deserves a straight answer. So let's apply 3 adjustments that both paths need to be honest. First, PMI. Priya and James pay $533 a month in PMI for approximately 7 years until they cross the 80% loan-to-value threshold. Total PMI cost over that period, roughly $44,700. That is a real cost that reduces their net outcome. Second, investment discipline. Priya and James invest $300,000 upfront on day 1. It compounds without them touching it for 30 years. Kevin and Claire's strategy requires them to transfer $2,390 every single month for 360 consecutive months without exception. 1 year where life redirects that cash, 1 market crash where panic wins, 1 kitchen renovation that eats 3 months of the difference, and the math starts to unravel. Vanguard's research shows lump sum investing outperforms dollar cost averaging roughly 66% of the time precisely because money in the market earlier compounds longer. Third, tax drag. Both families invest in taxable brokerage accounts. When they sell after 30 years, long-term capital gains tax applies at 15 to 20% federal plus state. Applying 15% to Priya and James's gains, net proceeds in today's dollars come to approximately $1,950,000. Applying the same tax drag to Kevin and Claire's $2,870,000, approximately $2,430,000, the gap narrows significantly. Kevin and Claire still lead, but only under 2 specific conditions. Condition 1, they invest every dollar of the monthly payment difference every month without a single gap for 30 years. Condition 2, they do not let lifestyle expand to fill the payment breathing room. Here is the honest data point. NER's profile of home buyers and sellers shows that most repeat buyers increase their spending in the year following a home purchase. The lower payment creates perceived margin. That perceived margin becomes the new car. The private school deposit. The renovation that felt affordable because the mortgage was low. If Kevin and Claire invest 80% of the difference instead of 100%, their net outcome after tax drops to approximately $1,940,000. Priya and James, with the forced lump sum already deployed on day 1, clear $1,950,000. The strategies are now statistical equals, and Priya and James got there without needing 30 years of perfect monthly discipline. One more thing this math cannot fully model, and I want to say it directly. If the market drops 35% in year 2, Priya and James's $300,000 drops to roughly $195,000 on paper. They need to hold through that without selling. The opportunity stack only works if the stack is never dismantled. Sequence of returns risk is real, and anyone choosing Path A needs to know they are signing up for paper losses that may arrive early and feel severe. After year 30, both families own the same house free and clear. From that point forward, neither pays a mortgage. The cost advantage Kevin and Claire enjoyed for 30 years disappears entirely. What determines quality of life in their 60s and 70s is the investment account, not the house. Here is the protocol. Step 1 is the discipline audit. Before choosing Path A, ask one question honestly. Can you leave $300,000 in the market through a 40% paper loss without touching it? If the answer is no, Path A is mathematically competitive, but behaviorally wrong for you. The right strategy is always the one you can hold through a crash. Step 2 is the transfer rule. If you choose Path B, calculate the exact monthly payment difference to the dollar. Set up an automatic transfer for that exact amount to a low-cost index fund on the same day your mortgage payment clears each month. Automated, untouchable, non-negotiable. If it is manual, life will find it. Step 3 is the timeline check. This math assumes 30 years. If you plan to sell in 10 to 15 years, the lump sum compounding advantage shrinks substantially because you give up time. Run your own numbers at your actual horizon before deciding. The realtor running comps for you will never model the $300,000 in the market versus the wall. That calculation is not their job. It is yours. Here is the honest conclusion. Path B can win. but it wins only if the freed monthly cash is actually invested every month with discipline that most buyers do not maintain. Path A wins by default for everyone who cannot guarantee that discipline because the lump sum is already working before lifestyle has a chance to claim it. That $300,000 is not a down payment question. It is a compounding question, a discipline question, and ultimately a question about who you are as an investor when the market is down 30% and the roof needs replacing at the same time. Drop your honest answer in the comments. If you had $300,000 left after a $200,000 down payment, would you actually invest it, or would life find a way to redirect it? I read every comment. The answer tells me more about long-term outcomes than any spreadsheet ever will. If this breakdown helped you see the decision clearly before you sign, hit like, so more buyers get the real math. I will see you in the next one. This video is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. I do not provide personal financial advice. Investing involves risk. AI tools may be used in production, but I, Sarah, personally edit and review each video.